This is A Voice, a podcast with Dr. Gillyanne Kayes and Jeremy Fisher.
This is A Voice.
Hello and welcome to This is A Voice Series 5, Episode 1, and we are switching it up a bit for this series. Gillyanne, what are we doing?
Well, first of all, can I do a little byline?
Yes.
This is a podcast where we get vocal about things voice.
Excellent.
So what's the theme for today, Jeremy?
That was it. That was all we're switching up. It's just the car crash that was the beginning of that podcast. That's it. Everything else is going to be completely normal from now on.
Well, you know I love a byline.
Okay, so what are we doing in this series?
Well, I thought
We're doing exactly the same thing.
we were talking about This is a Voice book.
We are.
Is that right?
We are.
Okay.
Yes. That's the thing
Cool.
that we're doing new this series. Okay, just to be clear, we're going to be taking the exercises from the voice. Okay, there's going to be an awful lot of outtakes on this one.
Bloopers.
We are going to. Okay, just to be clear, we are going to be using the exercises from the book This is a Voice, and we're going to be going through an exercise. We're going to be talking through it with you. We're going to be doing it with you. We're going to be giving you all the background, any new information that's come in since we wrote the book, because we did actually write the book in 2015.
Yeah,
And
it
it was
must have been
published
15
in
because it was released in 2016
April 2016.
as part of the Welcomes exhibition.
Yes, also called This is a Voice. Great title, by the way. Thank you, Welcome Trust, because that was your title and
It's
we love
just
it.
a joy, yes.
So, okay, we're going to choose an exercise and we're not going to do them in chronological order. We're just going to choose one to start with. And we have chosen exercise number 12 on page 60, which is called Straws and Bubbles. And this is specifically SOVT.
Absolutely, it's an SOVT vibe.
Now, I want to read out some of the comments that we have had on the Facebook group, the Singing in the Act Facebook group. And this is the Facebook group that is for people who've already done at least a 3-day course with us.
And it's a wonderful group. There's such a great vibe in the group, isn't there, Jeremy? We've been running since 2010.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's ever been a crossword. I mean, I barely have to organise any moderation. It's such a happy group.
What, no whips and scorpions?
No whips and scorpions, nothing like that. There's never any shade on that group. I love it.
Excellent.
Okay, cool. So first quote.
Yeah, we have some comments. This is from Grace Courtney. To focus on matching feeling and internal feeling rather than sound was a really big takeaway for me, especially when using SOVT with others.
Yeah, and shall I just do a little add-on here? Because I recently attended an online conference called PAS 7+.
That was about 4 days ago.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was over the weekend, Physiology and Acoustics of Singing. It was a fabulous event. I have to say, organisers of PAS, you totally raised the bar in online conferencing.
Yeah.
And a wonderful keynote from Anne-Maria Laukkanen, who is a Finnish researcher, and I think of as being really kind of pretty much queen of SOVT, and giving us a real overview of the development of research, etc., etc. And one thing that she talked about with regard to takeaways is that when you're doing SOVT in water, it disguises the sound a bit, so you're not judging yourself, and that can be especially helpful for shy vocalists.
It's really interesting. When you're doing SOVT exercises into water, you don't really hear your normal resonance, so it's very difficult to compare it. This is a great one from Kirsty Orr. As an aside to the obvious SOVT voice benefits, I thought I'd chip in with this. I used SOVT straw exercises with the singing group for PTSD sufferers, that's post-traumatic stress disorder. And the effects they had on them was noteworthy. They reported feeling instantly relaxed, calmer and more grounded. And I know several of them then permanently keep a glass of water and a straw handy during the day to regulate their feelings. One also reported that it was an immediate remedy to her panic attacks. So double thumbs up for SOVT all round.
Do you know, this is so moving, and I have to say, I mean, this was a post almost a year ago, over a year ago, that I clearly didn't spot. I think that's just such a powerful thing, and I'm just obviously hypothesizing here, but I'm guessing that sort of the blowing and the regulation of the breathing must help to regulate the vagus, stimulate the vagus so that we can get into a calmer state. So we'd love to hear from any of you who found that benefit maybe with your clients. I think it's wonderful. Thank you so much, Kirsty, for sharing that.
I think it's also there's a small part of it which is that you are focusing on something very specific when you're doing SOVT in water.
Now this final quote is from Foggy Nick, aka Nick Duncombe, who is the leader of Southampton Music Services singing hub, as far as I know. And she says, straws have been a lifesaver for online lessons, particularly when students arrive stressed and less than happy with things going on in their lives. And this comes from July 2020, like all of us during lockdown. It has created fun as well as functional work for them to focus on their sound. Focusing on the steady bubbles has such a calming effect on mental health, as well as the benefits for the voice.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. So many good benefits. Okay, so we are now going to do the exercise. I'm going to take Gillyanne, I'm going to read out what's in the book. I'm going to take Gillyanne through it. And then we're going to say if there's anything in this exercise that we would change now because we're 6 years plus on.
Watch for those moments when he tells me I'm not doing it quite right.
I would never do that. Straws and Bubbles, exercise number 12. The basic approach to breathing for singing is the same as in the general warm-up exercises 2 and 3 on pages 54 and 5. And for those of you who don't have the book in front of them at the moment, that exercise 2 is breathing in rhythm, and exercise 3 is making space in your throat. But for singing, the way you release the breath on the way out is more important. This exercise will help you create sufficient airflow for sung sounds. It's also a good way of checking that you're not overworking your voice. You'll need a drinking straw and a large glass half full of water. We have a bottle here. The medium narrow straw is best, but different straw sizes will give you different levels of resistance. Now, this is something that we would update now because we know more. The medium narrow straw may actually give you too much feedback and too much pressure, and therefore we'd recommend a medium or a medium large.
Yeah, this is when you're working in water because
Yes.
there's extra resistance provided by the water.
Yes. And Gillyanne, sit upright when you do this.
Okay.
You don't want to compromise your breathing by bending down.
Certainly not.
So number 1, start to blow down the straw into the glass of water. Hang on, don't do anything yet. I'm finished.
I'm just holding it up to show people because we've got a wonderful tech setup here. Okay, you carry on reading.
If you're watching on YouTube, then Gillyanne has a glass. If you're not watching on YouTube, Gillyanne has a tall bottle of water with water that we've actually dyed blue so that you can see it a bit better. And Oren's SOVT Singer straw in it.
This is the SOVT Pro, which has a little bend at the end so that you can keep not compromise your sitting or standing position, and a lovely little mouthpiece to assist with keeping the seal around the end of the straw.
Absolutely.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So
Love it.
step 1, start to blow down the straw into the glass of water. Your aim is to keep a constant airflow so that you see a steady stream of bubbles emerging in the water. Breathe when you need to.
So I'm hoping if you're watching on YouTube, you will see the bubbles. And Jeremy, an important thing to remind people here is we're not using voice, we're just blowing.
It's just air.
So the aim is to keep steady stream of bubbles?
Yep. Excellent. And those bubbles are quite large. Can you maybe make them a little bit smaller by blowing a bit more gently?
I did blow quite hard.
Great. Okay. Showing off breath control.
Well, I just think it's useful for people to know that when I blew less hard and I took in the same amount of breath, I lasted longer.
Yeah, doesn't work on radio.
They can all count.
Okay, step 2, now hum down the straw. Now this is actually an instruction that we would now change because the difficulty with humming is that your mouth is closed and the air is coming down your nose. And one thing that definitely doesn't work for SOVT exercises is to have any air leaking down your nose, because it changes the pressure inside.
Yeah. Do you want me to do it wrong?
Yeah, do it wrong. Yeah, this
Okay.
is humming down. This is humming and blowing down the straw. There's no air going down the straw at all, so there's no bubbles. Fabulous.
That was fun.
Okay, so sing. We're going to say sing down the straw. And again, there are some weird instructions here because people go singing. Okay, my mouth is open.
Yeah.
The thing about singing down a straw is that your lips need to be sealed around the straw. Now, it doesn't mean hard. It just means make sure no air is coming out of your lips other than down the straw.
Okay, how am I for depth? That's about right.
So, sing down the straw. Keep the airflow gentle. If you splash yourself, you're blowing too hard. You're aiming to maintain the bubble factor while you make a voiced sound.
I'm going to be so in trouble if I splash. Do you know what? Because we've got dye in here. Water, computer.
Yeah, my computer, my desk.
Yeah.
Very good. Part 3. Start moving between the unvoiced breath and the voiced sing, hum. Taking a breath anytime you need to, make sure the bubbles stay constant when you change from unvoiced to voiced, and use this rhythm to practice. A 4 count of breath, you're very keen, a 4 count of breath, unvoiced, followed by a 4 count of hum or sing, voiced.
Spot the overachiever in the room.
I think there's 2 of us. Very good. And if you're watching, the bubbles stayed the same. And if you're listening, the sound of the bubbles stayed the same.
I'll tell you what's quite interesting about this as well, which is that different notes give me slightly different feedback, because we know that when we're blowing into water, we get what's called an alternating current. So don't be surprised if that happens with you.
Step 4. After 30 seconds of this, lift the end of the straw just out of the water and repeat the pattern of unvoiced to voiced. You'll see, hang on, you'll see ripples, so keen. You'll see ripples, let me finish. You'll see ripples appearing on the surface of the water. They're a visual representation of your airflow, so your aim should be to make sure the ripples stay the same when you move from unvoiced to voiced.
Do you know what? I'm reading this perhaps as someone who's neurodivergent when you're reading it aloud, and I'm thinking, you want me to last out for 30 seconds? No.
Good point.
No, isn't that interesting?
Yes, it is.
Okay. How wonderful to be able to critique our own work. So the idea is I just move the surface of the water?
Yeah, I'm going to change the instruction very slightly now. If you start in the water and then you lift it while you're blowing until just above the surface.
Okay, right. I want you to watch. And people, if you're doing this yourself, then maybe look in a mirror.
Yep. Very good. And now go to voiced.
I'm going to do that and go into voiced at the end, if that's all right.
That's fine. It's very interesting, a little bit of creaking as well.
Yeah, I tell you what was interesting about that, and this could be, you know, just a personal thing with me. When I'm hovering over the surface of the water, because I can hear a bit of air noise inside the bottle, and I think I'm very much an auditory processor. I think I was trying to get that feedback at the same time, and actually that doesn't work. Can I do it again?
Absolutely. Very good. The
That
ripples
works
stayed the
better.
same.
Cool.
Okay, step 5. So far you've been using the water as resistance to your airflow. Put the glass down and use the tip of your finger to partly cover the end of the straw. Now when you hum down the straw, the resistance comes from your finger partly blocking the exit. Now we had little problems with this when we were rehearsing it. So I think I'm going to, again, change the instruction slightly and say, cover the end of the straw with your fingertips so that nothing is going to come out.
Okay.
And then slide your finger across very slightly so there's a little gap.
Okay. And I'm just going to say, for any teachers who are working online and use dye in their bottles like I did, for heaven's sake, wipe it before you do that.
Have
because-
tissues handy.
Absolutely, have a tissue to hand. So I'm going to blow with my finger completely
Block
blocking.
completely, yep. Nothing's coming out.
Okay, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that build-up of pressure sort of feeding back into my cheeks.
Yes. So slide your finger slightly. Very good. So it's now your finger is providing the resistance. If you take your finger away completely and then put it close to or just partly on. Yeah. And now put your finger partly on the end of the tube. This is going to sound really weird on radio. Gillyanne's doing silent exercises. That's good. Okay. Finally, take the finger away and hum down the straw. Very good. Done. Okay, this is very interesting. That was the 6-stage exercise, and it says at the very end, use these methods of gentle resistance allows your vocal folds to vibrate efficiently without forcing, and it enables you to practice your breath flow. You can use this exercise for a few minutes each morning to get your breathing and your voice going. If your voice gets tired during the day, take a minute out to repeat steps 5 and 6, that's just with the fingertip, with the straw.
I've got a little add-on, and we were playing around with this, weren't we, when we were doing a rehearsal. This is a trick I actually learned from Lynn Darnley. If you want to feel the airflow on your hand, lick the hand, or you could put water on it, but if you lick the hand,
Preferably your own hand.
you'll get much more of a kinesthetic sensation.
And because Gillyanne's hand is now wet, it's much easier to feel the airflow against your hand. Very good.
Ta-da!
So there's a few things that we changed. I mean, this was written nearly 7 years ago. There's a few things that we changed with the instructions, but the basic exercise is still very good. Okay. So if you have any questions about that particular exercise, then go to speakpipe.com/vocal process and leave us a message.
And insights that you might have about using it and how you're using these types of exercises with your own students.
Yes. And we do have something to announce, which is actually connected with the first episode this week, which is we have just released SOVT1, the training course, and SOVT, the voice science video bonuses, into the Learning Lounge. And so that's all included in your Learning Lounge fee. And I just want to, basically share what that's worth. Because when we first sold the SOVT course and the bonus videos, that was £95 worth. And now they're going into the Learning Lounge basically to be included. So you don't pay that anymore. The Learning Lounge is £33.33 plus tax wherever you are in the world. And that gives you a month's access to absolutely everything. So there's well over 700 resources and downloads in there now, going back 15 years, I think. It's a huge resource.
Can I do a little, it's almost like a little flight correction. Jeremy, you know, it's great. You've talked about what the value is, the monetary value. But there's a lot of other value as well, which is that you are working with Jeremy, me, and with Oren, and we are walking you through how to use your SOVT exercises. Jeremy does some wonderful tweaks, where you're working on making sure that the participants were actually sealing their lips around the end of the straw. And I wonder if it's, because singers can be a bit breath obsessed. I speak as one who's a chronic overbreather, that, you want to feel what you're doing with your breaths because you're so used to getting that feedback. And so you kind of sneakily let a little bit of air out around the corners of your lips, Also, some people were doing nasalization while they
Yep.
were trying to blow in the straw.
Yeah, and some people were doing breath onsets as well. So they were actually starting the breath going first and then trying to get the sound on top of it, which was not the exercise that we were doing.
Yeah, so it's altogether, it was a 2-hour training, and there are breakout sessions, and you can see this kind of tweaking going on there. And then the add-ons, which we call the bonuses.
Yes. These are all the voice science
It's about
information.
15 tracks, isn't
Oren
there?
is
Yeah.
very, very good at breaking down voice science into understandable language. And so he will take you through, in all of these bonus videos, he'll take you through aerodynamic theory, he'll take you through all sorts of things to do with SOVT and why it works scientifically.
Do you know what? I watched the bonus session twice.
Yeah.
And I made quite a lot of notes on it. I found it really helpful.
And if you're worried about being pushed for time, we've broken the course down into 5 to 8 minute videos. There's one video that's 20 minutes, which is part of the breakout session, and we decided to let that run. But basically, if you have a spare 5 minutes, drop in, watch a video, make notes,
Yeah.
drop out again.
Yeah, you don't have to sit there for 2 hours. We know how busy people are, and also, people are still getting screen fatigue, aren't they?
Yes. So that's the end of the first episode in the new format, where we're going to take you through the exercises and explain bits of the differences that we do now. Coming up, I can't remember what's coming up. I've no idea. For the next episode, we're going to choose another exercise and take you through that as well. If you like this format, then please do let us know. We are still going to be doing longer interviews and longer chats with people, and they will drop in every so often. But Series 5 is basically to do with This is a Voice exercises. So we will see you next time.
Okay.
This is A Voice, a podcast with Dr. Gillyanne Kayes and Jeremy Fisher.